To welcome everybody. If you are just texting that they're still on their way, but we're very happy to be here today, and I'm especially happy because I get to see you all before I leave for India for a month. So when I get back in August, the end of August, we have a visiting Swami in September and October, so coming attractions. We're very blessed today. We have Vidurji, who is, well, if you wish, to sing some bhajans for us. And part of then after what we'll do, so you know what we planned today, is because yesterday was the anniversary of the Mahasamadhi of Swami Vivekananda. We will have part of this to be a memorial commemoration of his Mahasamadhi and his life. And so we've got some things planned after that for that purpose. Okay. So thank you so much. Let me get you set up here and do your thing. I'm as excited as everyone else to have you sing. Microphone for you.
Sorry.
We'll get it. Make sure you're doing the right way. Okay. You can set it up however you feel comfortable. You want it off. Okay. And then we'll set this up according to that.
Battery 90%.
Oh. Wow. I guess God is ready. 90%, we're set.
That's not found. Uh-oh. I found four.
I'll sing a kirtan from the Vaishnava tradition. So today is the return journey of Lord Jagannath back to his temple. So I thought I'll start with a kirtan called Keval Ashtakam, which are 8 verses about the sweetness of the holy name and how pure it is. So in Padma Puran, Lord Krishna tells Narada Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam hridayeshu va yatra gayanti madbhakta tatta tishtami narada. I do not reside in the celestial abode, nor in the hearts of yogis. O Narada, I dwell where my devotees lovingly sing my glories. So this is in Sanskrit. I will first recite in English and then sing the original verses. Sweeter than all other sweet things, more auspicious than all other auspicious things, the greatest purifier of all purifying things, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Madhuram madhurebhyo mangalebhyo mangalam pavanam pavanebhyo harirnamayva kevalam harirnamayva kevalam harirnamayva kevalam. The entire universe, from the exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass, is a product of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. The only thing that is reality, reality again I say reality, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Abrahma stambha pariyantam sarvamayamayam jagat satyam satyam punah satyam harirnamayva kevalam harirnamayva kevalam harirnamayva kevalam. That person is a true preceptor, a true father, a true mother, and a true friend also, only if they teach one to always remember the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Sa Guru, Sa Pita Chami, Sa Mata Bandhavo Isaha, Shikshai Sada Smartum Harirnamayva kevalam Harirnamayva kevalam Harirnamayva kevalam. There is no certainty when the last breath will come and put an abrupt halt to all our material plans. Therefore, It is wise to always practice chanting from the very childhood. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Vishwase nahi vishwas kadaru bhavishyati kirtaniya mato balya Lord Hari eternally dwells in that place where the truly exalted, spiritually advanced souls sink in the mood of pure devotion. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Hari sada vase tatra yatra bhagavata jana gayanti bhakti bhavena Harir Namaiva Harir Namaiva Aho, what a sorrow, what a great sorrow, more painful than any other misery in this world, mistaking it for a mere piece of glass. The people have forgotten this jewel. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Abho dukha maha dukham dukha dukataram yata kachartham vismartam ratna Harir Namaiva Kevalam Harir Namaiva Kevalam Harir Namaiva Kevalam It should be heard again and again with one's ears. It should be uttered over and over with one's voice. It should be perpetually sung and sung anew. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Diyatam, Diyatam, Hari Niyatam, Niyatam, Vajaha Giyatam, Giyatam, Nityam Harir Namaiva Kevalam Harir Namaiva Kevalam Harir Namaiva Kevalam It makes the entire universe seem insignificant as a blade of grass. It reigns supreme over all in a splendorous manner. It is full of eternally conscious divine ecstasy. It is supremely pure. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Trinitya Jagat Sarvam Rajati Sakalo Vari Chidanandamayam Shuddham Harir Namayva Harir Namayva Harir Namayva Hare Ramayva Kevalam Hare Ramayva Kevalam Hare Ramayva Kevalam. This was a long one. We had more time.
Yes, we were sure.
Okay, I'll sing one Swami Vivekananda's song. That was the first one he sang for Sri Ramakrishna. This was November 1881. During his first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, in his own words, the master described, he sang the song with his whole soul, as though he were in deep meditation. When I heard it, I could not control myself. I went into ecstasy. So the translation goes somewhat like this. Let's return, O mind, to our own true home. In alien land, in foreign guise, why roam? Mono chalo nijo nikitane. Mono chalo nijo nikitane. সংসার বিদেশে বিদেশীর বেশে ভ্রম কেন অকারণে মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে। These elements and beings unknown, all alien, none are your own. Unconscious in the love of the exotic, why forget the one intrinsic? Vishaya panchako আর ভূতগণ সব তোর পর কেহ নয় আপন, বিষয় পঞ্চক আর ভূতগণ কে সব তোর পর, কেহ নয় আপন। অরূপে কেন হয়ে অচেতন, ভুলিছ আপন জনে, মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে, মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে। Ascend the path of truth, O mind, guided by love's light. Carefully conceal your virtues, treasures, day and night. Robbers, greed and delusion lurk in every corner. Beware, for travelers destitute they render. Try calmness and self-control as your shield. In this journey, they are the weapons you wield. সত্য পথে মোর করো আরোহণ, প্রেমের আলো জ্বালি চলো অনুক্ষণ। সঙ্গেতে সম্বল রাখো পূর্ণ ধন, গোপনে অতি যতনে। লোভ মোহ আদি পথে দোষগণ পথিকের করে সর্বস্ব মোষণ। লোভ মোহ আদি পথে দোষগণ পথিকের করে সর্বস্ব মোষণ। পরম যতনে রাখো রে প্রহরী, সমদম দুই জনে। মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে, মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে। Their guidance will rejuvenate the weary. If ever dark doubts of fear cloud your way, in frenzied prayer call him as he holds sway. Even death bows to the ruler of this road, so fear not, his power lightens every load. সাধু সঙ্গ নামে আছে পান্থ ধাম, শান্ত হলে তথায় করিবে বিশ্রাম। পথ ভ্রান্ত হলে শুধাইবে পথ, সে পান্থ নিবাসী জনে। যদি দেখো পথে ভয়েরই আকার, প্রাণপণে দিও দোহাই রাজার। যদি দেখো পথে ভয়েরই আকার, প্রাণপণে দিও দোহাই রাজার। সে পথে রাজার প্রবল প্রতাপ, সমন্ডরে তার শাসনে। মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে, মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে। সংসার বিদেশে বিদেশীর বেশে, ভ্রম কেন অকারণে। মন চলো নিজ নিকেতনে।
yourself ready. Right. So, again, thank you all for being here. We'll start with a chant, and then we'll go into our commemoration of Swami Vivekananda. Om Sato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Vritirma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from death to immortality. Excuse me, from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to mortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. And I wrote a little longer, so my brain is still catching up. So yesterday was the anniversary of the Mahasamadhi, as most of you know, of Swami Vivekananda. And, you know, it's just such a joy sometimes to just reflect on the beautiful expression of all the paths that Sri Krishna has set and allowed to be a part of this whole energy. You know, there's so many beautiful ways of reaching out to the divine, and internally and externally. And it's so nice that, you know, reflecting in our altar here, we have space for every possible path, even those with no path. They say have a place here. So I really appreciate that so much, and thank you all for that. So I thought I would read a couple of things about Swami Vivekananda that really brings some interesting information out, and including what was written about his last days of passing. And I thought that was especially poignant for today. But this is interesting because this talks a little bit about how Sri Ramakrishna saw Swami Vivekananda. And from the very first time he set eyes on Narendra, his beloved Narendra, and what he saw. And it says, the question may be posed, why did the master test Narendra, though he knew his greatness and the purpose of his advent with the help of his own yogic visions? The simple reason is that even God-men like the master, not to speak of ordinary people, when they enter the realm of Maya and assume a body, have their visions more or less blurred, and there arise a possibility of error regarding the things they have seen by them. That is why such tests sometimes became necessary. Explaining this to us, and this is written by Swami Sri Ramakrishna's disciples. I'll explain. I'll attribute it in a second. This was explained. This was explained by the master to us. He said, "You cannot give a lasting shape to gold without mixing it with some baser metal. Even so, bodies and minds, like those of incarnations, cannot be produced out of pure sattva, which reveals knowledge, if a little of rajas and tamas were not mixed with it. There was a wonderful manifestation of spiritual knowledge in the master, who was having supernatural visions by the grace of the Divine Mother, when he was undergoing sadhana. On many occasions, he doubted the truth of those visions and could accept them fully only after testing them. Was it therefore surprising that he would now test the wonderful visions he had had about Narendra before accepting them as true. Just as Narendra saw the master's purity, renunciation, and single-minded devotion, and became attracted to him since the very first meeting, even so, the master, it seems to us, was charmed to see the boundless self-confidence and love of truth, and made him his own from the very first day they met. If we leave aside the master's yogic visions about Narendra's greatness and glorious future, and to try to find out the cause of their wonderful mutual attraction, what we have said before becomes evident. People in general, devoid of insight, regarded Narendra's wonderful self-confidence as arrogance, his boundless vigor as insolence, and his austere love of truth as a feigning or as an example of an underdeveloped intellect. It is doubtless that they came to that conclusion from seeing his absolute indifference to people's praise, his plain speaking, his free and unhesitating behavior regarding all matters, and Above all, his disdain to conceal anything for fear of from anybody. One of his neighbors, we remember, said to us about Narendra before he had been acquainted with him, "There is a boy in that house. I have never seen a more hopelessly spoiled one than he. Having taken his BA degree, he has become extremely vain, as if the world did not count at all with him. He starts singing audaciously in the presence of his father and other superiors, keeping time on kettle drums with his palm and distended fingers. He going along smoking a cigar in the presence of his elders of the quarter, and so on in all matters. One day, shortly after this, we went to the master. Perhaps it was our second or third visit to him, and heard him narrating Narendra's good qualities thus. Speaking with Ratan, the chief officer of the garden house of Jadu Milik, and pointing to us, the master said, "These boys are good. This boy has passed 1.5 examinations. I was preparing for the FA examination that year. He is polite and sharp and calm, but I have not seen another boy like Narendra. He is efficient in music, vocal and instrumental, as in the acquisition of knowledge, in conversation as well as in religious matters. He loses normal consciousness in meditation during whole nights. My Narendra is a coin with no alloy whatsoever. Ring it and you will hear the truest sound. I see other boys somehow pass 2 or 3 examinations with the utmost straining. There it ends. They are a spent up force. But Narendra is not like these. He does everything with the greatest ease. To pass an examination is but a trifle with him. He goes to the Brahma Samaj also and sings devotional songs there. But he is not like the other Brahmos. He is a true knower of Brahma. He sees light when he sits in meditation. Is it for nothing that I love Narendra so much?" And that was the Srimad Krishna, the great master, Swami Sardananda. If you want to read more of that. I thought that was a little bit of a nice introduction to give an idea. So this was the kind of the debate about Narendra when he was younger. People either really loved him or thought he was well beyond. He couldn't grasp it all. But his last days were this. And this is really special to me. When I saw this, it actually came today. And I thought, oh, how perfect. So, and this is also written by somebody there. This is by his biography by his Western and Eastern disciples. By his Samasadi. On the same day, 4th July 1902, Swami Vivekananda attained Mahasamadhi upon his own will. But his words are immortal, that he shall still inspire all through them. This below are details about his Samadhi, Mahasamadhi. A week before the end, Vivekananda asked Shuddhananda to bring him the Bengali almanac. Swamiji turned several pages and then kept it in his room. He was seen several times on subsequent days studying the almanac intently, as if looking for something auspicious. 3 days before his passing away, while walking on the spacious lawn of the monastery with Premananda, Swamiji said to him, pointing to a particular spot on the bank of the Ganga, "When I give up the body, cremate it there. Today on that spot stands the temple of Nisarg." Sister Nivedita wrote, "When June closed, he knew well enough that his end was near. I'm making ready for death," he said to me one day when I was with him. On the Wednesday before he died, a great tapasya, austerity, and meditation had came upon me. I am making ready for death. Once in Kashmir, after an attack of illness, I had seen him lift a couple of pebbles, saying, "Whether death approaches me, all weakness vanishes. Whenever death approaches me, all weakness vanishes. I have neither fear nor doubt, nor thought of the external. I simply busy myself making ready to die. I am as hard as that." And the stones struck one another in his hand, for I have touched the feet of God. On Wednesday, 2nd of July of the same week, the day being Ekadashi, and himself being fast, keeping the fast in all strictness, he insisted on serving the morning noon meal to the same disciple, Nivedita, each dish, as it was offered, boiled seeds of the jackfruit, boiled potatoes, plain rice, ice cold milk, formed the subject of playful chat. And finally, to end the meal, he himself poured the water over the hands and dried them with a towel. "It is I who should be doing these things for you, Swamiji, not for me," was the protest naturally offered. But his answer was startling in its solemnity. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. Something checked the answer, but it was his last time. As it rose to the lips, and the words remain unuttered. On his last day, Friday, 4th July, 1902, Vivekananda got up very early in the morning, as usual, and went to the shrine for meditation. He was not sick at all. During breakfast, he was in a jovial mood, teasing Premananda and recalling many events of olden times. He had fruit, milk, and tea. At 8 a.m., he again entered the shrine for meditation. When at 9:30 a.m., Premananda entered the shrine to perform. Oh, it's okay. No worries. When at 9:30 a.m., Premananda entered the shrine to perform the daily worship, Swamiji asked him to carry his asana carpet to the master's bedroom, which was adjacent to the shrine, and shut all doors and windows. Swamiji dusted the master's bed with his own hand and again sat for meditation. Never before he performed such meditation in the monastery. What transpired there, no one knows. He finished his meditation at 11 a.m. and then began to sing a song about Kali in his sweet voice, which the monks heard from downstairs. Descending the stairs of the shrine, he walked back and forth in the courtyard of the monastery. He appeared in Drawn, as if traveling to a distant land. Suddenly, Swamiji said to himself, if there were another Vivekananda, then he would have understood what this Vivekananda has done. And yet, how many Vivekanandas shall be born in time? His statement was overheard by Premananda, who was standing on the veranda of the chapel. Never before had Swamiji spoken like this. Then he expressed a desire to worship Mother Kali in the monastery the following day. At noon, he hardly enjoyed his lunch with the monks in the dining room. Because of his illness, he had generally taken his meals in the room. Well, he talked a while and then went to his room to rest. After 15 minutes, he came out of his room and told Premananda, let us go and study. Day sleep is not good for a monk. Today, I did not get any sleep. He went to the library and called on the brahmacharis to attend the class on Sanskrit grammar. One who attended this class wrote, the class lasted for nearly 3 hours, but no monotony was felt. He, however, appeared a little tired after grammar class. Swamiji wanted each disciple to be original and not to follow him blindly. Warning against false prophets might come in the future. He said to the boys, if any man ever imitates me, kick him out. Do not imitate me. At 4:30 p.m., he went for a walk with Premananda to Belur Bazaar, 1 mile away. At 5:30 p.m., he returned to the monastery from his walk. He sat on a bench under the mango tree and said, my health is no good today, which I have not felt. My health is so good today, which I have not felt for a long time. Swamiji talked to Premananda and other monks about the history of European civilization and also colonial history. India is immortal, he said, if she persists in her search for God, but if she goes in for politics and social conflict, she will die. At 6:30 p.m., when he found that some monks were taking tea, he went to them and said, will you give me a cup of tea? He enjoyed the tea with them. When the vesper bell was rung at 7, he got up and went to the room upstairs. Entering his room, Swamiji said to his attendant Brahmachari Rajendra, my body is very light today. I feel fine. Please give me my rosary. He sat facing the Ganges. Before he began his meditation, he asked Rajendra to go to the other room and instructed him, wait and meditate till I call you. After an hour at 8, the Swami called Rajendra and asked him to fan his head. Swamiji told him to open all the windows of his room because he was feeling hot. Then he laid himself down on his bed on the floor. He still had the rosary in his hand. After a while, Swamiji said to him, all right, no more need for fanning. It would be better if you gave me a little massage to my feet. Soon he seemed to fall asleep, and 1 hour passed in this manner. Vivekananda was lying on his left side, and the brahmacharan was massaging his feet. He then moved and lay down on his back. Shortly after that, he cried out like a baby cries for its mother. Towards the end, Rajendra noticed that Swamiji's right hand trembled a little. There was perspiration on his forehead. He breathed a deep breath, and his head rolled down by the pillow. There was silence for a minute or two. And again he breathed in the same manner. His body became still. It was 9:10 p.m. Vivekananda passed away at the age of 39 years, thus fulfilling his own prophecy, I shall never see 40. In the beginning of his mission, Vivekananda had said, I am a voice without a form. Towards the end, he said, it may be that I shall find it good to get outside of my body, to cast it off like a disused garment, but I shall not cease to work. I shall inspire men everywhere until the world shall know that it is one with God. Swami Vivekananda biography by his Eastern disciples. So I thought maybe we'll, in honor of Swamiji, since Sri Ramakrishna said that he was Shiva, an incarnation of Shiva, I thought we would sing the hymn to Brahma. There's the words in the book with Sri Ramakrishna's picture on it. No, the little books that are there that Vincent, the ones that Vincent made up. Yeah, that's yeah, a hymn to Brahma. And why don't we chant this in honor of Swamiji?
What page are we on?
It's a hymn to Brahma. I'm not sure which page it is. Does anybody see it?
14.
14?
14.
So be at 14. And when we think of this, of course, not only it really shows clearly Swami Vivekananda's state of consciousness, but ours too. Sadrisham Kadvamasyadilakyam Ekam Nityam Vimalam Machalam Sarvadi Sashi Bhutam Bhavatikam Trigunaradhitam Sadhuram Namami Sadguru Namami Brahmanam Paramashukaram Kevalam Jnanamurtim Vantatitam Gadana Sadrisham Tatvamashadilashyam Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadi Sashi Bhutam Bhavatikam Trigunaradhitam Sadguru Namami Sadguru Namami full of bliss, giving joy transcendent of higher knowledge, the Guru will no more clear as the heavens, known to all as thou art, that he is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all, far, far beyond qualities and thought. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. We'll continue. So yeah, last week we had part one of the weapons the weapons for the battle of life, which obviously is a ripoff from the Bhagavad Gita themes. If you're gonna steal the best, right? But the idea of this is really, it came up after the class was done last week. Something really came upon me that there's really something important to say that we didn't cover really fully because it's a big topic. But it really goes together with what Sri Krishna was teaching, and that is, what is the battle of life, and what would victory look like? What is the ideal that each being has? And if you really are honest, everybody has kind of a different ultimate goal, right? Ultimate victory. And maybe they're as infinite as each person, but the Thakur Sri Krishna did describe freedom differently in different ways, and it's really interesting. So if you're talking about the battle of life and what you need to win it, the weapons would be different depending on what it is that your ultimate goal is, your ultimate ideal of victory. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, and how that relates to the kind of sadhana that it would take to be able to achieve the different goals. If you think about it, when we started our quest for some divine connection, it was probably as a pretty basic being in this earth that you needed something to live. You needed protection. You needed food. You needed warmth. You needed community to be able to survive. And so the things that you would reach out to that were divine, that you could conceive of as divinity, were meant to provide that. And that kind of gives us a clear indication as what one possible ideal of victory is. And that is to achieve the kind of things or experience the kinds of things that you want to achieve, or experience the kinds of things you want to achieve. And that requires, obviously, create good efforts and good energy, good thoughts and good actions to create good positive results and reflective achievements. So they call it punya, right? Good karma. And so your one ideal is in this victory of the battle of life is to achieve things that you want, even if it's in a high state of heaven, worshiping God as maybe an ultimate. Or maybe, a lot of people wouldn't even think of that as yet, understanding that yet. Maybe they just want to have an amazing afterlife or amazing next life or amazing this life. They want riches. They want a wife or a husband. They want children. They want all of these things are goals for many people, being quite honest. If you think about it, that's the most important thing to them. Everything else is kind of way off there, right? For those, so in order to have those tools, those weapons for that battle of life, we've talked about them. We talked about being able to give out energy unconditionally and freely. And if you're poor, the best thing you can do is to give. If you're lacking in anything, the best thing you can do is go out and find a way to give. I even gave an example of if you're homeless, you could go to a homeless shelter and volunteer to serve other people during the day, and they'll feed you then. That's some way you could give. You could give kindness to people on the street. You could do anything you need to do to put out energy so that you could create that energy cycle going, that punya going, to be able to create greater and greater returns of energy, cycles of energy in this world and other worlds. But if you really see this, and we went through a lot of that, if you want more of those details, you can go to last week's class online. But even with the, Swami Sarvapriyanandaji and Medinandaji and Sarvadevanandaji, when they talked about classes, even those with great good karma, great punya, going to a high astral world or to a great world, they said when that punya is finished, so sooner or later, anything external it's not eternal, right? So when that finishes, you come back down here to continue again. They said once the punya, once those good merits are stored up, the stored good merits are finished, it's like a cycle that goes around and around. We talked about the yugas that were discussed and some of the one that was a 24,000 year cycle makes a lot of sense. That the world is at times in a very high stage where everybody was kind of happy. They had connections to their inner being. They could do things with their mind that we couldn't even imagine today. They could communicate telepathically. And then, of course, in the dark ages, we're just crawling in the mud trying to figure out what's going on. So this goes over and over and over again. Once you'd think that once we got up to a high plane, you just go, okay, that's not what they say happens. Most of those same beings go down to the dark ages too. And they forget all of those things and they start the whole thing over again because they have desires for enjoyment in this world, for things that can only be fulfilled here in this earth. There's also astral karmas, those things that can only be fulfilled in the astral world, which is probably much more of an amazing joint to do things, right? You'd still kind of have these same psychological issues, you know, your emotions and all that, but you're experiencing amazing visions of light and amazing dancing, you know, waters of multicolors, and, you know, all these things that are described in the astral world. The cultural world, they say you actually create universes yourself and out of your own mind. So all of these things are punya. They continue to grow in cycles and they come and go, no matter how great it is. But what Vedanta talks about that I think is really, really neat, and I'll read some of the things that the great ones say about this whole idea here. The idea of Vedanta is to remove suffering without any possibility of its recurrence. That's the idea of, the ultimate idea of Vedanta. That's what Swami Sarvapriyanandaji said in one of his recent talks, and many of the Swamis have said the same thing. It's in the scriptures. So to remove suffering without the possibility of its reoccurrence. That's not a matter of achieving something or getting great punya or great merit and then having that expended. That's not possible. What they're talking about is finally going inward instead of outward to some experience or some thing that you create, to finally going into the essence of your being and realizing it was there all along, apparently, that you dissolve in that and you're completely satisfied. And of course, I suspect you can still play and do all of these things after you're liberated, right? God creates everything. But you have zero attachment. It's just like a constant, unattached dream, right? So who knows? But the point is that there's different ideals of freedom. And since 4th of July was Swami Vivekananda's Mahasamadhi, he chose it obviously consciously. This is one of the reasons I read that. And all great beings do. When I've read of other great yogis or great masters, they look at the Indian almanac and they choose their own days of passing. When exactly the right energy is to the point that they want to leave this form at that moment. And then they've chosen that beforehand. So they know. We don't. We just kind of, it's not such the same deal for us. But I've heard that over and over again. So this is Thakur. This is what they have to say about all these things. And I thought this would be kind of a neat way to dive into this. So this is something this is Sri Ramakrishna here. In the course of meditation, a beginner sometimes falls into a kind of sleep that goes by the name of Yoganindra. At that time, he invariably sees some kind of divine visions. During meditation, you should imagine that you are tying your mind to the lotus feet of the deity with a silk thread, so that it may not wander away from there. But why must it be a thread like silken? But why must the thread be silken? Hence, his lotus feet are too delicate. Any other band will give him pain. Be dissolved in the Lord, even as the crude medicine is dissolved by spirit. When all the clamorings of the mind are hushed, there comes a suspension of breath, or the state of kumbhaka. Deep meditation brings out the real nature of the object of meditation and infuses it into the soul of the meditator. So this is Sri Ramakrishna talking about the beginnings of meditation. And of course, you can also visualize your Ishta and have that divine communion, that dualistic communion there. And there's not a problem with that. These are this is Sri Ramana Maharshi talking about one of the weapons for the battle of life. And he says, one should, with faith, hand over to Ishvara all of the burdens, such as the family and the body, which naturally appear, and then remain without anxiety. Otherwise, one cannot perform with a one-pointed mind, either devotion or self-recording. So it's this self-surrender that really, really is useful. And the way and we'll talk about pravada karma, the way he saw things is that things are destined to happen in the life that's set up before we were even taking these forms. So things come and occur naturally. So that's why Swami Vivekananda used to say that it was like when he experienced things, it was like he knew them beforehand. He said he could tell what was going to happen because it was like he had experienced them before. So as a soul, evolved being, his whole incarnation was set up beforehand, and it took place just as it was set up. So if you look at it from one state, it's not fatalistic, but this is the way things are. I mean, for everything, even you changing your mind is part of the whole pattern, part of the whole pattern. So it allows you, if you take this in the right way and not as a defeatist thing, but just to surrender completely and take all the burden off of your worries and just be there with all one point of concentration to do everything fully, everything with your passion, everything with soul, and everything without worry. And so faith has a huge value, as Swamiji always says too. Faith leads to surrender. And surrender is one of the highest qualities of soul evolution. If you think about it, a person wouldn't be able to surrender. Why? Because of fear. Because they want to hold on to control, or they don't trust something good will happen. They're always worried, right? So if you have that spiritual maturity, that you have realized that everything is coming to a point, that everything has its own momentum, and that everything is working itself out for the best and highest good, then you can totally surrender and have that complete surrender that they're always saying that is what we need to really go through from what we think we are to what we truly are. Because that stops us. You come to time and time again, you're able to turn within. Remember that story of Swami Vivekananda said that I went to everything around me, and my head was bloody from bowing to everything, from worshiping everything that I could see. And it gave me no peace. He said, it gave me only peace a short time. He said, it was only when I turned within. And that is a very, very, and we'll talk a little more about what that actually means, but that turning within is a real drastic turning point for any being that's in evolution. And it has to happen at some point. That's when you go from punya, turning within. Punya is external. Always going outward, having wanting something to have some relationship, or one thing, validation, or whatever it is, one experience after another, whether it be creating universes or not. So this is really neat. This is Ananda Moima. Of course, you only take the best. Right? Life is one. What is dirt to one creature may be sustenance to another. We must reach the state wherein we know the one, alone, and everything has his forms. Alone and everything as his forms. There is only one Brahman without a second. This is not the way. So this is where the surrender comes in, where there is only one direction. There's only one controller. There's only one perfect ultimate situation that allows you to be surrendered and to go with it. Otherwise, you're continually going without that perfect surrender. There's no way to turn within, because you want to control everything. You want to make sure it's all good, that you're covering everything. So these are really, 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 really cool things. This is kind of neat. I thought, because some of us are really into meditation and so on, this is actually from Sadhu Om. I don't know if you know who this is. He was a disciple of Ramana Maharshi. He said, regarding Kundalini, it is sometimes said that all that is described about the Kundalini Yoga Shastras are affected automatically and without our awareness when we practice vichara. That's self-inquiry. But such explanations are useful or interesting only for those whose minds are still attach importance to such phenomena. For those of us who just want to know what this I actually is, such explanations are of very little interest. Sadhu Om used to explain that what is called Kundalini is nothing other than the consciousness of I, spreading throughout the body. When we attend only to I, it begins to withdraw from the body. And this withdrawal is what is described as the rising of the Kundalini. However, in order to experience what this I really is, we do not need to know anything about the Kundalini or its rising. Ultimately, the body, its nadis, the subtle nerves or channels through which life force is said to travel throughout the body, and the Kundalini is said to rise up to the head, and the Kundalini are all just concepts, ideas or beliefs. And our aim should be to ignore all concepts and ideas in order to focus our entire attention only on I. And so that is kind of giving you the ideal of that surrender, because even the yogic exercises are an exercise in separation of consciousness. Does that make sense? So even the visualization and understanding and seeing Kundalini, you are separate from that. So it creates a separation, and it doesn't create that utter surrender and that utter completeness. This is Shami the Adi Shankaracharya. When a great soul has found perfect tranquility by freeing his mind from all distracting thoughts and completely realizing Brahman, then he no longer needs sacred places, moral disciplines, set hours, postures, directions, or objects for his meditation. His knowledge of the Atman depends upon no special circumstances or conditions. So what's great is that if we're not there yet, we can use our sadhana that makes us comfortable to get us closer and closer and closer to that ideal, whether it's the mantra or whether it's Kundalini workings of the yoga. But the ideal is to get that one point of concentration to where there is no two, there's one. Whether it's on the Ishta or whether it's on the Kundalini or anything else, that then allows you to gain that same awareness that, like Srimad Krishna said, at the top of the mountain, they all merge together in Advaita, in non-dualism. So that's Shankaracharya. This is Ramana Maharshi. Silence is more effective than speech. From silence came thought. From thought came ego. And from the ego, speech. So if speech is effective, how much more effective must its original source be? So this is really, really beautiful. So when we're talking about vichara, going inward, as Sri Ramana said, before Om, which is creation, there is Ankara, the first primal ego, the first primal separation of ego. Before Om, with Ankara, before Ankara is the source of total surrender. So it's just so beautiful. This is Adi Shankara again. Forgive me, O Shiva, for my three great sins. I came on a pilgrimage to Kashi, forgetting that you are omnipresent. In thinking about you, I forgot that you are beyond thought. In praying to you, I forgot that you are beyond words. That's Adi Shankaracharya. And finally, Mataji we're talking about Prabhada Karma. Question, can Prabhada be annulled by prayer? Mataji, no. To annul Prabhada is most difficult, to some say impossible. So this is if you're talking about cause and effect. So prayer is an external cause. Does that make sense? So she's saying no. According to the doctrine, but it cannot even be blotted out by according to one doctrine, it cannot even be blotted out by liberation, Jnana-mukti. But since where liberation is, there can be no individual. Where does Prabhada come in? This body says. This is what the Ma always called her, this body. So this is what her view is. If by the flame of liberation everything is consumed, why not Prabhada as well? It is like the revolutions of an electric fan after the switch has been turned off. When the connection is cut off, the movement is bound to cease after a little while. But for one who is not liberated, not even this kind of movement exists. But for one who is liberated, not even this kind of movement exists. For who is to experience the Prabhada? For the liberated, there is no body, although you may see a body. So, the idea was that, when we talked about all the tools you could use to have an amazing life, to have an amazing afterlife, to get to higher realms and all that we talked about last week. But the idea that this whole outward idea of punya, great merit, seems to be one part of this external drama, but it still doesn't relieve misery and suffering for it. It's just a cycle of it. It just creates a separate cycle of it. So really turning within, like Swami Vivekananda said, realizing that the only possible solution is to, sooner or later, when all of our sadhanas, we have to turn within instead of outward, and to see what the source of our I is, what is the source of our awareness, what rests our awareness on. And that is exactly what we're looking at, like the musk deer story, where the deer was running all over crazy, looking, trying to find out what smelled so amazing, and it went crazy. Even jumped off a cliff, didn't realize that it was coming out of its own navel. And that's kind of what they're talking about. So I just thought that was a very important point to be able to to bring out, and to have a little patience on ourselves too, because those who are any path will take you to the same location. So if you have an Ishta, Sri Krishna or Ma, really putting your whole soul and mind into that worship, or if you're doing Kundalini Kriya, or if you're going inside of the spine and you're doing it with your whole passion and your whole mind, because eventually to lose yourself in that is the whole point, and to not have anything second. So that'll take you there also. So all of these lead to the same. I just thought that was kind of interesting, and we wanted to share what Swami Vivekananda wrote as well, and talked about in his last day. So maybe we can just do, unless there anything wanted to ask or say or declare or state or anything before we do Ramakrishna Shadavam. Everybody's good? Okay. So we can do Ramakrishna Shadavam, and then we can have a short little silence, and we'll be done. Do you want to pass out any of the instruments? And I'll let you guys play those. You gotta get more of those. Those are really popular, huh?
Because those are easy.
So we'll do this, and then after this, we can just have a moment of silence, and then we'll do that. Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Prabhu, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Kripari Kevalam, Kripari Kevalam, Kripari Kevalam, Sharanam Kripari Kevalam, Kripari Kevalam, Kripari Kevalam, Sharanam Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam 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 Namo Sri Gurave, 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 Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Prabhu, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya 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 Ram Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Prabhu, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam Kevalam Sharanam Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Prabhu Krishna Sharanam Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharanam Ketuham Sharanam Ketuham Sharanam Ketuham Bhante Sharanam Ketuham Sharanam Ketuham Sharanam Ketuham Bhante Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Namo Sri Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo 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 Sri Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo Sri Gurave Namo Namo Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharanye Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya 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 Ram Krishna Jaya Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Ram Krishna Sharanam Sharanam Saturdays once in a while. Have you come and chat some more. That'd be great. Maybe after I get back from India, we can do one before the Swami's come. Just let me know. Figure one Saturday a month or something, if it's okay for you. I'm sure everybody would love it.
Yeah.
I know I would. Yeah, that whole idea of God is at the center of us. It's so important when you really need it, when you're really in desperation, knowing that you can look deep within and that's where it is, instead of always groping for, that just changes everything. It changes the whole equation a lot of times. Anyway, thank you. And there's plenty of flowers. It's our pleasure. There's plenty of flowers to give culture and peace. We've got food and all. Here's the flowers. Well, let me turn this off. Thank you, everybody online. Jai Ma.